Assumption is everything. What does that mean? Well, if you've been one of those people waiting and waiting for your desire to show up, it is of the utmost importance that you understand what this means. So be sure to stay tuned until the end of this video and you will know exactly what to do in order to manifest your desire. Hello, manifestors. I am a manifestation coach, and if you are interested in one-on-one coaching or email coaching, please check the links down below. And I also have a Facebook group that is blowing up right now, and you can check the link down below for that as well. Just be sure to answer the couple of questions that we ask you, and we'll get you in ASAP. At the end of the day, no matter how good you are at imagining a scene or not, it is your assumption of your wish fulfilled that is going to trump it all. Because indeed, assumption is everything. There is a famous quote from Henry Ford that says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." Well, Henry Ford understood fully what assumption is all about. Because indeed, no matter what you think about any subject, about any area of your life, it is what you are going to manifest. So the first thing I want you to do here is to think of your desire and to ask yourself the question, what is my true assumption about it? Because, for example, every time you ask the question in a Facebook group or a coach or whatever, and your question starts with, but what if? But what if? It means that you are assuming that your situation is unusual at best and maybe very difficult at worst. So if you are already assuming this, you're already assuming that you have a very difficult situation, that your situation is different, it's complex. Well, that's what you are assuming as we speak. So right there, you are creating a stumbling block between you and your manifestation. Because your assumption before anything else is that your manifestation will be tough because you are assuming that your situation is more complex or is different or is unusual compared to other people and their desires. If you start your question or questions with, but what if? You are already assuming that your desire is going to be tough. It's going to be hard to manifest. So, for example, we see that a lot when it comes to third party and manifesting a specific person. Some of you, as soon as you find out that you have a third party, your first assumption is that you've got a complicated case. When really, this is not true. It's not true as far as the 3D works, and it's not true as far as your imagination works, as far as how powerful your imagination is. But the problem is that it's true to you. And that, my friends, is your biggest problem to start with. Because the minute you assume that a third party makes it tough for you to get your specific person, whether it's a new person or an ex, you are making it so the minute, the second that you take into account that third party and that you're assuming that it's going to make it hard for you. Assumption works 100% of the time. If you assume it is, then it is. A lot of people have asked me, How did you deal with your third party? Because for the ones who don't know, when I manifested my specific person, he was a new person, but I started with a third party because he was married. A lot of people have asked me, how did you deal with this? Well, the first thing I did is that I never assumed that it would be difficult for me to manifest my specific person, even though I started with a third party. That was never, 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 ever in my assumption. And that's probably why it was so easy and so fast for me to manifest a man who was already taken. So, whatever your situation is, whatever culture you're coming from, because, for example, I get a lot of questions from people who are from the Eastern world, where the culture is more on the collective consciousness, meaning that personal choices don't matter as much as in the Western world. So, what happens here is that oftentimes those people assume that it's going to be more difficult for them to manifest a specific person because their parents decide who they marry. But the thing is that the law of assumption works for every single human being on the planet, whether you live in the Western world or you live in the Eastern world. So even if you are living in such a culture, you must understand that you need to stop assuming that your case is more difficult because of where you live in the world, because of your culture. Because that very assumption is going to manifest. Is the assumption that you are in a culture where it's much harder to manifest a specific person. That assumption is going to manifest itself. Because any assumption that you have about anything is what you are going to manifest. Not just about manifesting a specific person, by the way, but everything. Your health, your money, the way you look, everything. I have made a video a while back about what I think about certain things that are assumed to be in this world and that doesn't apply to me. So, for example, the health issue that people are going through, especially right now. The assumption that you could get sick. Well, I'm sorry, but this alone is what could make you sick. Another example is testing yourself for potential disease. What does that mean? Well, I don't know about you, and I'm not going to tell you what it means for you because I am not you. But for me, for example, testing myself for a potential disease means that I am assuming that I may have it. That's why about 2 years ago, when I had a client who was nervous about a particular health check that she was going to go through, when she asked me how did I deal with it, well, I had to tell her the truth. I told her I don't deal with it because I don't do this stuff. Meaning, yes, I don't do those tests. Now, am I telling you not to do those tests? No, 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 no. I will never tell you that. And like I said to my client, never would I tell her that because I knew that my level of assumption and her level of assumption were very different. In my case, I'm a tough person. And when I assume something, I do. I assume it 120%. And this is because, well, life taught me that. I had a tough life in many areas of my life before I knew about the law of assumption, of course. But you know what? It made me very tough. And now my assumptions, because I went through a lot, when I assume something, I assume it full blown. So I am strong enough to assume that I am the manager of my health. And for me, frankly, just going to go through some test will make me feel very weak, because right away my assumption being very strong, my assumption would make a 380, so to speak, and I would have to assume that I may have that disease for which I am testing. So I don't do this stuff. But I would never tell anyone, not if you are a subscriber here, not if you are my client, to do the same, because this is very personal. Assumption is not something I can give you on a platter. It's something that I know I have very strongly, and it's something I want to encourage you in working on, but it's not something I can give you. So what I want to tell you here is to go through all your assumptions that you have in your life, in your particular case. And I want you to look at it, analyze it in every aspect of your life. Make a list if you have to, and analyze what type of assumption you have about a specific person, about health, about the way you look, about age, about society, about men, about women. Write down your specific list in as much detail as you can. What type of assumption do you have in regards to that specific topic? If you do this exercise, writing down every specific assumption that you have about every specific area of your life, you are probably going to see why such and such area of your life is the way it is. So, if you have been manifesting a specific desire for a while, and you have the feeling that this is not working, it is most likely because you have the wrong assumption about it. For example, if you are manifesting a specific person, but you are still asking questions about how this and how that, my guess is you are not in the wish fulfilled, meaning you are not assuming right now that your desire is yours. This is the only reason why you're still asking questions about it. So think about your assumption about every single desire that you have. And if you don't have the assumption that it is done 100%, it means that you still don't have the assumption that you have your desire. And that's why your desire is still not in your 3D. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, please like the video, subscribe, share the video, and this really helps my channel. And by the way, if you need one-on-one coaching to help you master assumption about your desire, check the links down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.